We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
The Dialogue, the community voice of Southern California's young professional network. Relevant discussions about the thoughts, concerns, opportunities, and challenges faced by today's generational leaders. Real talk, real people. This is The Dialogue. The Dialogue with Starlett Quarles on LA Talk Live and streaming live at www.latalklive.com.
No, we need it so power. We got to have it so power. No, we want it so power.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to The Dialogue. Real talk, real people. I'm your host, Starlett Quarles, and we're on live at latalklive.com and streaming all over your internet and smartphone. So if you're listening to us at work or at home or in your car, welcome. We're so glad to have you this evening. And as always, The Dialogue is the voice of our generation. So thank you so much for joining us here every Wednesday from 5 to 6:30, where we like to discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. Tonight, we are continuing our series on the future of Black America. We originally launched this series last week with a focus on Black LA, but for the rest of this month, we kind of wanted to open up the conversation and focus on the issues with Black communities across the country. So, as I mentioned last week, what impacts us here in Los Angeles is just not germane to us here in our Black community, and it's not just independent to what we're experiencing here in LA. It impacts Black people all over the country. So for the next 3 weeks, our topics will focus on the future of Black America, starting with tonight's conversation on the impact and influence of music and media. Next week, we're going to have a discussion on understanding white privilege with actual white folks here in the studio. We're going to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Black folks, we know about white privilege, but we're going to hear from white folks' perspective next week. So make sure you tune in. And then we're going to conclude this series. What is our Black agenda? We're approaching a election year. Some of you may be TiVoing. I hope you're TiVoing and watching me, the Republican debate and the Donald Trump show tonight. But as Black people, what is going to be our agenda for the 2016 election year, and how are we going to hold these politicians accountable? So tune in for the next 3 weeks for our series on the future of Black America. As we discussed last week, Black folks, Black America is on the forefront. I have never seen so many Black TV shows on TV. There's so much focus on the Black experience and Black culture. Black is back, baby. We are on and we are popping, and we see this. We see this in our popular music, in TVs, and in movies, from reality TV to scripted shows and featured films, and even hip hop and R&B. Being Black is back. But it's being left up to someone else's interpretation of our experience as Black people in the country. So it's definitely having impact and influence on the Black experience here in America. So let's talk about what that looks like and what we need to do as a people to be able to change the negative impacts and influence of the music and media on Black America today. So tonight, like I said, we're going to continue our conversation on the future of Black America with our focus on the impact and the influence of music and media. Our guests include writer, producer, director Corey Grant, hip-hop artist Brandi Kane, filmmaker, director Shonathan, Lindsey, and music producer Walter Millsap, all here tonight to help me continue our series on the future of Black America. And as always, this is a community conversation. We want to hear from you. So please give us a call here, 323-473-3100, 323-473-3100. And you can always post your comments or your questions on our Facebook page at facebook.com/thedialoguela, or just tweet me at StarQuar. And if you happen to have my cell number, text me your question. But we definitely want to hear from you on this topic, not only tonight, but all month long, on the future of Black America. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to jump right into our conversation on the influence and the impact of music and media on Black America today. Right here with me, Starlett Quarles on The Dialogue. Real talk, real people. We'll be right back. Got that soul power cracking.
When I'm out of sight, just check yourself and say, yeah, you're right. Hit me. Give it. Put it there. Love me tender and love me slow. That don't get it. Come back for more.
Women now make up 37% of the workforce, changing their role forever.
Harvard Medical School has now opened its doors to new female applicants.
The first woman is now in space.
The majority of last year's doctorate degrees were earned by women.
We've come so far, but our news is changing for the worse. More women die from heart disease and stroke than men, even though it can be prevented. Make a change at GoRedForWomen.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women.
Hi, this is Ella Joyce. You remember me from Rock and the movie Set It Off and Tyler Perry's Temptation. Would you like to learn some of the dances from the 60s and 70s to some good old soul and funk music? Come on down to Elite Dance Studio in Woodland Hills every Friday from 8 to 9. It's a 1-hour sock hop, and if you want to know more about it, go to funkasize.com.
Every Friday night, 8 p.m., join Ella Joyce as we funkasize. Funkasize.com. That's Funkasize. Funkasize.com. Every Friday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's only 1 hour, people, at the Elite Dance Studio, 6431 Independence Ave, Woodland Hills, California, 91367. Only $10 a class. We're doing this sock hop style.
Credit Clean for You. We assist you in repairing your credit record and raising your FICO score. Credit Clean for You. We work in the community to help individuals who have bad credit and low FICO scores. We also help people who've been the victims of identity theft. Credit Clean for You will help you remove negative information from your credit report and will help you reestablish your credit worthiness. Plans start as low as $175 to begin. We also have plans for people on a tight budget with a pay-as-you-go plan. For more information, call 323-300-8085. That's 323-300-8085 or email credit.clean4u@yahoo.com. Once again, that's credit.clean4u@yahoo.com. Clean Credit for You, official sponsors of the Talk Live Broadcast Network and LA Talk Live.
I wake up to a smile and it brings me joy. You're naked cooking breakfast like baby boy. And do he make a mean mimosa? Then he lay my body down on the sofa.
Y'all know nothing about that dream yet, but we're going to talk about that's the new song by Angie Stone. It hasn't even been released yet. We're going to play some of her new songs off her new album because we have her music producer extraordinaire here on the Dialogue today. Welcome back to the Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. I'm your host, Starlett Quarles, and tonight we're continuing our series on the future of Black America, and tonight's conversation on the influence and the impact of music and media. We want to hear from you. 323-473-3100. 323-473-3100. While we listen to that Angie Stone in the background, let me introduce our guest for you tonight, starting with Illinois native Corey Grant. Is a writer, director, producer with New Breed Entertainment, which he founded while he was pursuing his master's in film at Howard University. His first film feature, Hip Hop Task Force, which he solely funded by his scholarship money and was picked up for domestic distribution after a limited theatrical release. That's how you use your money, y'all. That's how you use your scholarship money. He also wrote, produced, directed the follow-up to Hip Hop Task Force called Studio, which was picked up by Warner Brothers Home Video, but he's most known for his movie Dysfunctional Friends, which many of you may have seen on BET. His most recent work is called Sister Code, which stars Amber Rose, Drew Sidora, and Eva Marcille, which is a funny and touching story of three foster sisters with drastically different personalities living together in Los Angeles. And that's currently on video on demand. Please welcome Mr. Corey Grant, first timer to the Dialogue.
Yo, thanks
welcome,
for
sir.
me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I see how you use that scholarship money. Shonathan tell us he bought Jordans. Speaking of which, my good friend Shonathan Lindsey, many of you remember him from some of our relationship shows in the past. He is an independent filmmaker, director, producer with hip hop motivation. His first film, Secret to Ballin', features such artists as Chris Brown, Method Man, Snoop Dogg, Timberland, and Kelly Rowland, just to name a few. And this film was executive produced by Dame Dash, yes?
Executive produced by Dame Dash and Redman.
Dame Dash and Redman. And this is coming out when?
The release date on VOD is October 16th.
October 16th. I didn't have that in my introduction, so thank you for sharing that. His current project is Coke Girl, and is currently in pre-production, and it has a GoFundMe campaign going on. So we're going to ask you to support Coke Girl. What's the GoFundMe page?
It is gofundme.com/Coke Girl the movie.
So go to Coke Girl the movie, which is a cautionary tale of a middle-class college girl who gets involved with the wrong crowd, drops out of school, and decides to go into business for herself selling coke on the beach. The film chronicles young Laronda's unsuspecting adventure in a dangerous cocaine trafficking sex underworld. Please welcome my good friend Shonathan Lindsey to the dialogue. Welcome back, sir.
Yo, what's happening?
Thank you so much for giving us that information on Coke Girl. And please, as I said, please support our independent filmmakers here and his effort. Can we keep the Angie Stone going? I like that.
Yeah, that's
sitting next to, so welcome, Shonathan, back to the dialogue.
Thank you for having me.
South LA native Miss Brandi Kane is an MC and local independent hip-hop artist. The granddaughter of a Pentecostal preacher and daughter of a hustler, Brandi began her career ciphering in the halls of Westchester High School. That's right. That's all right. I'm from Uni in the house. My brother's from Westchester, so it's all good. I got family that went to Chester. And battling at Project Blowed in Lamar Park. How many of y'all remember Project Blow? I remember Project Blow, boy. It's still cracking. Before long, record labels such as Interscope were trying to sign her. However, being raised in a family that valued education more than fame, she finished high school and went to obtain a bachelor's degree. You went to school at, where'd you get your bachelor's?
Cal State Dominguez Hills.
Cal State Dominguez. Although school was important, she never stopped recording or performing. She has a collaboration with R. Kelly and the Isley Brothers for appearing on the remix of the hit single Contagious. And she also opened up for multi-platinum rapper 50 Cent, as well as Sugar Free and Chingy, performing before 1,000. Please welcome Brandi Kane to the dialogue. Welcome, lady.
What's up, sir?
How you doing? Thank you so much for joining us here. And last but certainly not least, I'm so honored to have a good friend of mine, longtime friend, Mr. Walter Millsap III.
Hey.
And he has Walter Millsap IV with him.
He's here.
How you doing, cutie? He's still waking up. He's still waking up. Walter is a music producer, songwriter, musical director, engineer, arranger. Trust me, his biography was 2 pages long, and I tried to surmise as much as I could, and he is an absolute fantastic deal maker. If it's part of the music business, Walter has already done it. As a protege to producer Timberland, he engineered The Diary of Alicia Keys. He co-wrote songs for artists such as Brandy, Jennifer Lopez. He co-produced tracks for Missy Elliott and was the musical director for Pop's It Girl, Miss Lady Gaga. He also worked with Beyonce and has developed and written material for a series of new acts, including Mindless Behavior. The reason why we know Mindless Behavior is because of this young man right here, and female electronic pop artist named Noir. He recently finished producing Angie Stone's new album, Two Bad Habits, and will be releasing its first song, Dream, which you are hearing right now this November. So we are getting all exclusive. The tracks that we're going to play from Angie Stone's album.
The album's in store November 6th.
The album's in store November 6th.
And the single is Two Bad Habits.
Two Bad Habits, and the first song, Dream, is...
No, the album is titled Dream. The first single is Two Bad Habits.
I got that backwards. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me.
All good.
But this is Angie's first album in 3 years. And as I said, we're playing Dream right now. Okay, very good. Welcome, my good friend Walter Millsap III to the dialogue. And Walter Millsap IV is sitting in on the mic. Thank you all so much and for giving me an opportunity to introduce you to our audience. I just want to be able to share a lot of your background so that they can understand your credibility in this particular conversation. So I'm just going to ask all you guys to comment on your initial thoughts on our topic for tonight, just the impact and the influence of music and media on the future of Black America. I'm going to start with you, Corey. What were your initial thoughts when you say, what is the impact of music and media on Black community today?
I mean, if you really think about it, Black people in general,
when it comes to anything entertainment, we're always at the forefront.
Always at the forefront.
So anything that we put forth out in the world or on a platform is going to be influential to the world pretty much. So the images we put out there actually means quite a bit. So we have a major impact. So what we put out there, we really got to think about what we're putting out there because we're the we top of the creme de la creme. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shonathan.
The impact that it has, the impact that it will have, is going to be far more significant than in the past. I think because of the way that media works now and the way social media and the various platforms are available, and people are consuming media in a wide variety of ways, globally. And so, in terms of the impact that it have, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see more diverse images and voices of black people in media, where it's not just going to come through one filter or one type of black person. You'll see the diversity, that black people are a diverse group, not just monolithic in thought, but we are, a diverse people. And I think all the various voices and perspectives need to be seen globally of black people, particularly in America.
Very nice. Brandi?
I agree with both of the gentlemen so far. I agree with Shonathan that the presence of the emergence of social media has definitely widened that lens to where our images we're in a lot more control of the images that we portray of ourselves. We're able to tell our own stories in a much more accessible way than ever before. So I think that's a positive thing.
What do you say, Walter?
Okay, you're gonna have to repeat the question because I'm dealing with Walter the Fourth while I'm dealing with.
It's all good. Well, just the impact, and a matter of fact, I'll move on to the next question. What are some of the messages and the images that are being told about about black lives and the black experience through music and media?
Well, I think the distortion that's happening. I'm a very out of the box sort of guy, but the distortion that tends to happen, especially when you start thinking of the reality shows and all these different all the different content on television, like you and I were talking about yesterday. Most of these people are just doing it for that $7,000, $10,000 budget per show.
That's how much they get?
It depends on who the production company is and how they've worked out the deal with the network.
Okay.
But starting off, you can make as little as $3,000 an episode or $1,500. They try to, get you as far as down as they can. And I only speak of it because I've been a part of it, but. And then to give that information, and then what people don't understand when you're watching these reality shows, obviously you think this information is all legit and real, but there is a plot to it. There is an angle to buying real estate in the minds of the consumers with regards to what's being pushed.
So did it help or did it hurt Angie when she did the reality TV show? Because some people,
I'm gonna tell you the truth. Honestly, I've never seen the show that Angie was on.
Okay, because I know it brought out a lot about her daughter, the issues with her daughter.
I assume so because I had never seen it, but I remember when I first signed her, and I walked into my bank and I asked one of the older ladies that usually help me. I said, are you familiar with Angie Stone? She said, "Ooh, she is something." And that attitude of hers, and she started going off, and I said, "What happened?"
Right.
She said, "No, I've been watching that show," and I'm like, "Oh, Jesus
so
Christ!"
It could be it's a blessing and a curse, especially for established music artists.
Yeah, and especially how you're angled, because you understand, real, true production companies, and I'm very close friends with the majority of them. There's an angle to everything, and
including Mona Scott. I'm sure you're
Mona
close
is my
to Mona.
good friend, and I'm not going to talk about her.
We're not going to talk about Mona.
I need her.
Mona's going to be on Being from our good friend Rob Ford is doing her Being coming up.
Mona and I go way back, and that is my and congratulations to Mona. She just renewed her vows recently, and so
but she gets blamed a lot for what people do on camera that she has absolutely no control over.
Yeah, she has a production crew in place that will set up how things should go and what attracts the consumers to coming back and watching and things of that nature. And that's their job. And at the end of the day, like I was telling you yesterday, these people that are on these reality shows, they have to sign off on this stuff.
Right.
They have to okay this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they know what they're signing up for when they walk into the building of a Mona Scott
I
business.
see you shaking your head.
Yeah,
he knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys all do, especially those of you in film. But how are this programming our youth? What type of programming and what type of messages are we sending our youth when they see black people acting this way? I mean, I was talking earlier to my sister, and I was like, we never fought other girls like this in public, or just fought like that in general. So in terms of just today's black youth, how are they being programmed? What messages are they being told who they are?
I mean, this is the world star hip hop generation.
It's
now.
world star.
You know, nothing's filtered now. You know,
Okay.
and I think a lot of times, you know, people imitate what they see. So if
Especially
you get,
youth.
Oh, most
Youth
definitely.
are like sponges.
Most definitely.
Okay.
I mean, these reality shows, I mean, it's like junk food. You get addicted to it, and then sometimes you start buying into it.
Right.
Just
like the consumer, you know.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
Angie's probably a nice person.
She's absolutely.
But in terms of what,
But then they got turned up a lot of times. I mean, no, I've met Mona. I've met Mona a couple times before she even got the show. Real brilliant woman. But I mean, even then, you know, when you're doing shows, they have storylines. They have beat sheets.
Right.
People have their own storylines. They got to play up. They want
Right.
to make sure they're on the next season. So you know, you do whatever to get the
But
attention.
The craziest part, just to kind of piggyback off of, like, with me knowing Mona for 15 plus years, you know, a lot of people don't even know, like, she's, you know, her impact with Nickelodeon well before the whole reality show stuff. She was doing a lot of development over at Nickelodeon. So to even kind of give you insight on just her business savvy, it's a business here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shonathan, you said even when you were in film school, they taught you that controversy, conflict sells.
Yeah, I mean, it is the crux of anything that you do in the entertainment in terms of visual media, that you are to create conflict, whether it be a reality show and specifically in something that's scripted.
Right.
And we, like the gentleman has said, reality is scripted. It is reality.
Okay.
You know.
So it's scripted. I mean, the words aren't scripted, but the scenes are scripted.
I mean, it's a narrative that's being pushed on each episode
Okay.
that will beginning, middle, end.
Okay, all right. So at the top of the show, and Brandi, I want you to comment on this. At the top of the show, I talked about black people being on the forefront. So why do you think being black is in right now? Do you know what I mean? Why is the black experience? Why is white America so infatuated with the black experience and black culture right now?
I don't think that's anything new
It ain't new.
necessarily.
I know, but it just
that's
seems
always
like
been the case.
You
and
know, it
I
just seems
think-
like there's just been this emergence recently.
I think that's due to our inviting other cultures into our cultures a little bit more than what we used to.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of white rappers now. Where back in the day, I mean, we gave Vanilla Ice a hard time. you know,
Right,
pretty
right,
much.
right,
You know,
right.
It was really
Like-
tough. You
like
know,
there was
so-
the only little Asian girl on Soul Train. We just gave her a little pass.
You know,
we gave
people got passes where it was
Right.
maybe 1 or 2, and now you got like maybe 12 that's
Right.
getting a pass. So,
right. Shonathan, you know what to say?
Like Brandi said, like, yeah, it's a lot of white folks being invited into the culture. But I also want to add that, you know, I was raised and hip hop was created, and I got to, you know, experience hip hop as it was created. There are people that have been born where hip hop and hip hop culture has been the reality their entire life, meaning it's been normalized into who they are. And then there are even people born now that, you know, think about it, with Barack being president, that may be the only president that they're aware of.
Right.
So, you know, as black people push into the forefront, it's normal. It's being normalized. You have generations of white folks who have come up where liking black culture has always been their norm since they were children.
What would you say, well, Walter, about, you know, white America's just infatuation, especially recently, this fascination with just black lives and black culture? I mean, you got so many of us doing talk shows now. You got us doing production on major networks. I mean, of course, the reality TV. You know, I've never seen so many slave movies since President Barack Obama has been in office. So what is it this with this recent thing? Do you think it's Barack? I mean, what is this kind of recent, like, emergence of white people's fascination with black life? And we even see it in terms of their physical appearances. We know we can talk about the big butts and all that type of stuff, but what is white folks' fascination with us?
Whew. I mean, where do we start?
I know it's a heavy question.
You know, the craziest thing is I had a friend, you know, I'm nowhere on social media, so I'm anti-social. So if anybody out there that think you're following me, that is not Walter Millsap. And I got friends that send me pictures and memes and stuff like that. And it was one late night. Brian Peter sent me a meme, and it had a black slave holding a white baby and breastfeeding the white baby.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. And the black baby on the other titty. Did you get that picture?
Yeah, and at the top it said we couldn't use the same restrooms with you guys or get the same, drink the same water, but we could, breastfeed your children and raise your children. And I think that sort of characteristics has continued just in different ways, and media and the influence of media and the influence of our culture on them has had an impact on them since then,
since
now,
yeah,
and tomorrow.
I'm so glad you brought that, because if you've ever seen that picture on Facebook of a black woman breastfeeding a white baby on one breast and a black baby on the other, and I wonder, I'm not a mother, but doesn't genetically milk passes through the mama? I'm wondering if they've been getting black milk, which is why some of them might be predisposed, preordained, because they've been drinking our milk to like us, and especially our men. So, Brandon, let me ask you, especially in terms of the impact, what would you say the impact of today's music and media is having on our black families? Because we all know the foundation of any culture, of any community, and its ability to be able to sustain a legacy depends on the black family. And I feel like the black family is being attacked right now. So in terms of music and media and the messages that are being sent, how is it impacting the stability of the black family?
Well, I think, first of all, that if there's a particular structure within the home, from the get-go, then media cannot penetrate that
very good
too much.
Right.
So that's the first thing.
It starts in the home.
That the black people who are creating families and sustaining families have to understand. We can't blame artists if you're letting the kid listen to the artist, or you're not monitoring what's on the phone or the pad that they're on.
Right.
So we can't always shelter them from everything, though. They may go down the street and hear something you might not want them to necessarily hear in the home. However, I think that the first and biggest responsibility is on the parents and the primary caregivers in the child's life.
Fantastic. And you said that in terms of parents' responsibility when it comes to screening what their kids see and hear. We grew up on Select TV and On TV, and Benny Hill, who was like in the windows. You guys remember
I watched Benny Hill. I used to sneak
late.
I'm
aging myself.
Just for a glance.
For anybody who remembers Select TV and On TV, but our parents were a little bit more involved in what we saw. Yes.
I was telling you the story earlier about wanting to see Purple Rain, and every time I would walk through the den when my parents were watching Purple Rain, it was like, going in the room,
get on up out here,
and I knew I was peeping, but there was still that structure in place where it was like, nah, you're not watching Purple Rain. I did go and sneak and put the video in when everybody was asleep and watched it, but I still knew in the context of what it was that was adult material, and that was not for children. I needed to be watching G.I. Joe and the other stuff.
Right. What do you want to say?
No, there is no filter anymore.
Right.
I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day about if I had kids. I don't have kids. I'm old, but I don't have no kids yet. But I was thinking, if I had kids, I'm looking at my cell phone, and I could just go through Instagram. I'm like, man, when I was younger, if I could have seen some of this stuff right here, I could click on this.
Right.
There's more accessibility, but that doesn't mean that there can't be a filter at home. The parents got to be the filter. You have to know.
I agree,
what's going on.
But to a certain age, hold on. But to a certain age, though, think about it.
Yeah,
if you're 4 or 5, 6, but once you get a little older,
you let them go a little bit more.
But you know what? Some of these parents, and Walter, I'm gonna have you respond to this. Some of these parents kind of really don't know what some of these lyrics are meaning. Like Shonathan and I were talking earlier.
They're
like
totally clueless.
I didn't know what Superman that hoe meant. I thought it was a dance.
Trap Queen. They don't know what that means.
I kept talking about truffle butter because the beat was banging. But when you listen to, I can't. Truffle butter just in and of itself, it's horrible. Where these type of images. These kids know what these songs songs mean. Do you know what I mean? What's that? I'm a Coco. What's that song? I thought it was
love with the Coco.
My little goddaughter told me it was about cocaine. I thought it was about a cute little chocolate black girl. Do you know what I'm saying? I was in love with a chocolate black girl. So I mean, how do you filter? I mean, you got little Walter the Fourth on your lap here. Yeah. I mean, how do you filter these kids? Do you know what I mean? Who, you know, where the church is not as an integral in the black community as it used to be. So the church does have some responsibility. But the parents, how are they not? I mean, they're talking about the Coco too.
Well, this is the thing. You know, John Wooden, which I deem to be one of the great coaches, philosophers of our time. You know, he was having or I guess he was being interviewed a couple years back, and they asked him, because you know John had coached everyone from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to, you know, some of the younger players some years ago, and he was about, I think, 99 or 98 or something when he died. And they said, well John, how are the kids, you know, sort of comparison to, you know, when you were coaching the Kareems and things of that nature? And he said, the kids are great, you know, the kids are all the same. He said the parents have changed, and he says we have nice, strong young men wanting to grow up to be just like their mothers. Wow. And that thing right there, like, I paused.
Right. We all paused. Do you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm
Do you know what I'm saying when you think about it?
Like, yeah, and I seriously, I paused, and it was just like it hit home, you know. And I think, you know, we're dealing with. Because right now, I think even the subject, we're going outside and we're cutting the branches, and we're not dealing with the root. You see what I'm saying?
And it's so interesting that a white man observed that. Do you know what I mean? That these guys are being raised by single black women, that their fathers are not in the home, and that the parents have changed.
The parents have changed.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We're talking about the impact of music and media here on the dialogue and the future of Black LA. We want to hear from you. The phone lines are open. 323-473-3100. 323-473-3100. And we're listening to Magnet. That's Magnet by Miss Angie Stone, by a music producer extraordinaire. That is Magnet, right? That is Magnet. Yeah. We are releasing playing some of her albums while we have Walter here for the first hour. So give us a call here, 323-473-3100. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
It's got me stuck where I don't need to be. Got me stuck where I don't need to be. They build me up, then send me crashing down. The good girl loses every time. I'm a magnet for the wrong guy. They always say that they hate to leave.
Choices of Internet Radio and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Rhonda Ray, inviting you to join us every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, for Hot Chicks Live. Join us as we discuss the latest fashion, entertainment, sports, and more. So don't forget to tune in to Hot Chicks Live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, shout us out. What's the count? I'm your host. I am WDC. Tune in to WDC Radio on LA Talk Live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for sickle cell trait awareness, lupus, bullying, mental health, and all different aspects of life. So tune in to WDC Radio right here on LA Talk Live. Also, you can listen to us on iTunes, Live 365, YouTube, and Ustream. And don't forget Apple TV and Roku right here on LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. Shout us out. What's the count?
Welcome back. Welcome back to the dialogue. Real talk, real people. I'm your host, Starlett Quarles, and we're on live LATalkLive.com. And tonight we're talking about the impact and the influence of music and media on the future of Black America. You're listening to Miss Angie Stone from her new album, produced by our guest here, Mr. Walter Millsap, and that one is Begin Again. I play the songs that I like.
There we go. There we go.
I heard the whole album, so
Yeah.
thank you for giving me that.
That one features Dave Hollister.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Give us a call here, 323-473-3100, 323-473-3100. Shonathan, at the commercial break we were talking about just the influence of hip-hop. Do you know what I mean? And leading to this mass incarceration of black men. And you said your next film is about, mothers raising our sons. You know what I mean? So there is this, dynamic in the black community of these fatherless homes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge impact. I don't want people to scapegoat hip-hop, though, or, pop culture, because there's a larger symptom, and that is that black folks we're not just here in a vacuum. We have a history and a context in this country, and a lot of it has dealt with racism and being shut out economically. So, hip-hop is a symptom of a condition.
Okay.
So I don't think we should focus and say hip-hop is to blame for, could brothers and sisters be doing better in the music?
Okay.
And yes, of course, but let's not just use them at hip-hop as an easy scapegoat.
Brandi be the first to tell you, the parents ain't at home. You know what I mean? So sometimes the internet's raising these kids, TV's raising these kids. You know what I mean? A lot of these kids don't have fathers to be able to balance out what's happening in the home. So they are easily influenced, by what they see. And we were talking about earlier, some of these preachers, look like hip hop artists from the materialistic, how they push the materialism and the glorify all that. Yes, sir.
But I want to raise a point here.
Okay.
If we think about hip hop, urban music, and things of that nature, especially hip hop, most of the subject matters and things that they're talking about is from experience of what's happening around their environment, right?
Yeah.
And so if the experience around their environment is that of, whatever is happening, and they're glorifying it, and because I grew up in the projects, I grew up in the Nickerson Gardens, and I've been around my people who has glorified having less than. And the minute you try and cross over, or you attempt to cross over, then the finger is pointed at you as if you're not down with the hood anymore.
And we were just talking about that with this controversy with Snoop.
You see what I'm saying? Oh yeah, but that's a whole nother story that I ain't speaking on.
No, but Shonathan, you were saying, but he said
Don't look at me now.
No, but we were just saying that part of what he was talking about in terms of this controversy of being kicked out of the hood was he doesn't identify with that anymore. He's a father. He wakes up to his kids. He doesn't.
It's a whole nother street level that we should not. It's Pandora's box on that one.
Yeah, I'll just speak to what Snoop talked about in the film Secret to Ballin', and which is available on October 16th, video on demand. What he talked about in the film was how his evolution from being a gangster rapper, being in the hood, and then converting over to Snoop Lion, and now he's back to Snoop Dogg, but still in the same mindset of uplifting, giving to the kids. And he and in his YouTube address to that situation,
right,
he referred to that like he's not about putting a sack in the homie's hands. He's about putting a mic or and giving opportunities, or football or whatever. So he's made that transition as a 47-year-old man, and I think he should be celebrated for that.
And he said he ain't trying to call nobody a big homie at 47.
Well, he said that in the thing.
In the video. I'm just going by his words.
But this is the thing, and sort of to kind of add to what Sean was saying with regards to putting the blame on to hip-hop. This is why the blame is put on hip-hop. Is because the stuff that they're talking about, the stuff that they're rapping about, it's not like they're getting a shot and then changing the vision. Because the minute it's almost like you've joined the gang in music. The minute you start trying to change the vision, like LL Cool J, when he stopped rapping the way he rapped and started, making love songs, then we said, he lost his hip hop.
But how do you explain Chris Brown? How do you explain a kid who, when he became a millionaire, then he wanted to become a gangster? I mean, how does that work? That's backwards.
Hey, listen, I've been knowing Chris since he was 13.
He wasn't raised that way, was
he? He was a little light-skinned kid. Came into my studio with Tina Davis, who's my good friend, his first manager, and was nothing like. He's not even from LA, so. You know, but what happens is, you know, again, exposure.
Okay.
You know, exposure, you know, could.
But why does he even feel the need? I mean, he's to go back to the hood when technically people are making it out of the hood. They want to rap to get out of the hood.
I want to address something that we spoke about earlier, and it was about conscious rapping versus, you know, the rap that's out now and how it shifted, and to Walter's point about the perception of artists, conscious rap, those rappers still exist today. Public Enemy, all of them still exist. What happened is that the consumer voted that Snoop Dogg and this and that this is what they wanted to hear, and they abandoned those conscious rappers, and they blew up these other rappers. So, you know, music still is a business.
Consumer more than
so you're saying
more than the corporations that are kind of
I mean,
pushing that have the dollars, the marketing dollars.
But people don't have to. Just because something's marketed to you doesn't mean that you have to consume it.
Okay.
I mean,
if it's marketed to you repeatedly, you know, it's gonna have some kind of, it's gonna take effect. It's like when you hear a song that's whack the first time you hear it, and then you hear it 20 more times, and you find yourself dancing to it.
Yeah,
like, I hate it.
I'm gonna tell you this.
You know, radio programming is not a figure of speech. It's true. It's real.
Because I'll be
programming
honest with you.
in general.
Okay.
When I first heard Alicia Keys, and that's my home girl, you know, you know, the money they spent behind breaking Alicia was an endless amount of money.
Okay.
But I heard people over and over saying what they're saying she is and what I'm seeing is not adding up. You know, she's not this next coming of the biggest thing. They didn't think the vocal was, you know, better than some of the church people and just doing praise and worship on Sundays, you know. But the muscle behind it, you know, Clive being a genius that he is, getting Oprah, getting all the people that is, you know, sort
cosigns.
The cosigns, you know,
the opinion makers.
I call it. Listen, you got to buy real estate in the minds of the consumers. How do you do it?
But there's still, I still think that if you're hot, you're hot. For example, you know what J. Cole is doing right now, and he's getting a lot of love for it. He's changing that narrative.
What is he doing? Like with the dollar thing?
Well, I'm just talking about like his music is a little more diverse, a little more conscious than the average rapper.
Oh, okay. Well, because probably maybe people listening that they don't know J. Cole.
Oh,
but no. Surprisingly, the craziest thing to add to the point, because I'm on SoundScan every day. For me, it's all numbers, it's research, it's really technical, and so the numbers that J. Cole does is astonishing. You know, in comparison to some of the more rappers who are just smack dead in your face with subject matter and their following and things of that nature. He's considered more so an underground commercial artist.
So speak
and
to
Kendrick Lamar.
And Kendrick. And
so
J. Cole just
Walter,
he just did 1 million copies.
So speak to this, and I'm using demise very, very lightly, but just the demise of conscious rap. I mean, you know, X-Clan, I remember X-Clan coming to UCLA. Do you know what I'm saying? And Queen Latifah when she first came out, you know, even Lauryn Hill. So what happened to, you know, socially conscious rap? Because it had a positive impact. It had a positive impact on our self-image.
Well, we happened.
Okay, so what we happened? We wanted to start twerking. I mean, what happened to us?
It's just like, you know, it's just like my son here, you know. I can't expect, when he's 17, I can't expect him to think as a 4-year-old.
Okay.
You know, things happen. He's going to start having opinions. He's going to start, you know, making decisions that I don't even agree with. You know, and naturally things evolve, and whether they evolve the right way or the wrong way, you know, is yet to be seen. That's why we're having this conversation about where we are now.
Okay.
Because if we could have, you know, foreseen where we are now, some things would have changed. You know, but I think we've gotten so far in it. It's like the digital world. We're so far in it, there is no going back. You know, right now we can only try to influence change within the system. And I meet with all kind of people, man. I get demos after demos, songs after songs, artists that come in and they talk about, I want to change what's happening. And listen, man, it's a train. You get in line or you out of line. It's just, and I don't mean to sound harsh.
No.
This is my reality of this situation.
So from a producer's perspective, and I know we have limited time with you, so I'm going to ask you this real quickly before you have to leave. So from a producer's perspective, where is the state of black music today? Where are we?
I mean, listen.
Yeah, white folks winning categories in R&B and hip hop. Where is black music today?
Even when you look at the Grammys and you look at NARS and you've heard them many times come out and say, "Hey, we want to get things better. We're bringing on other people to help us to sort of properly categorize certain music that maybe we have messed up on." But my son
is this the Terrible Twos?
Yeah, my son is
this Terrible Twos.
He's going off right now.
It's all good. Baby, you got 15 more minutes.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree with that slightly though, with the whole there's an order to things and just kind of just get in line and do it the way it's always been done. I think that if we kind of stick with that mindset, we'll never see social change on any level, or change in our media outlets or arts and culture. If we kind of only stick with that mindset, maybe you might want to hear out of artists that say they want to shake things up on whatever, I don't know what level they mean, but
so
I don't think we should be closed to that. Otherwise, then the things that we're disgruntled about they'll never change.
Shonathan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue is what tends to happen in rap, and it is the single track mind of everybody's doing this. I mean, when I grew up on hip hop, there was NWA, Dr. Dre, Public Enemy, Brand Nubian. There was a wide variety, so I didn't just have to get inundated with one thing. I think the problem now is music and film in general. It lacks diversity in thought and opinion, and that's where it becomes dangerous, because then you do feel like you are being bombarded by an image. But when you have choice, when you have this over here, that over there, and you can choose which experience you want, when the consumer can choose which experience they want, that improves the situation.
I think we can choose. The mainstream outlets, where it's kind of like you said, what bombards us with what their.
But there's Kendrick breaking in, and just like Walt said, J. Cole.
Yeah, I think
there's various artists that are breaking in and breaking that mold, and so you can listen to them, or you can listen to Fetty Wap, or whatever.
You could listen to it all. Really, I mean, I listen to a diverse selection of artists and music, and I just think that we don't have the balance that we used to have as far as maybe hearing a UNITY after a gangster record. You know what I mean? You don't. I think that's what's lacking is the mainstream balance that we get to hear on media outlets.
You agree?
So we have to look for those things. There's a lot of conscious, quote unquote, conscious rappers.
Because every time I turn on the radio,
still,
honestly, it's Nicki, it's Drake, it's.
But that's the radio.
And The Weeknd.
You already know what you're gonna get.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't even listen to
You
radio.
know what you're getting when you go to the radio.
So we used to have more variety on radio.
No, when I speak of like, there's a train, you get in or you get out, I'm talking from a corporate level. This is how it happens in the buildings, and there is unfortunately no way to go break into that. Drake, we're really Kendrick, J. Cole, and if you go and study J. Cole's history, he had his own following. He built a cult following. Without them, they came on way later. Kendrick's situation was even, close to that. It's one of those things, man, where you got to look at the value of how things is sort of being devalued in music today. If you go to like the digital era right now, who can't download Fruity Loops and put a clap and kick together and then call themselves a producer?
Well, the benefit though of the digital era now is that you do, like, I can go to Spotify or Pandora. I don't have to listen to the mainstream radio. I can personalize my experience based on the artist that I like. You know what I mean? Like I could.
That's what I'm talking about when you talk about choice. I mean, you might have to dig a little deeper these days. But
it's right.
It's out
it's right
there.
at your fingertips.
Yeah,
though. It's not like if I don't like, and I think that's the consumer needs to empower themselves. If there's something in the music that you don't like, if there's something in the music that you don't like, turn it off. You have Spotify and Pandora, and you can just insulate yourself in that which you like.
Okay, very good. So Brandi, before we go to commercial, so share this a little bit about just the life of the independent artist. I mean, so what are you looking to get eventually signed by a major label, or so? Tell us about your journey as an independent artist and what you're looking to do.
Independence is a lot of liberty in that.
Okay.
You know, you definitely. It may be a tougher grind, you know, at certain points. But if the correct situation was to come about, you know, I would definitely be interested in a partnership, you know, with a major distributor. But ultimately, I would really like to see, you know, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, or maybe even sooner, hopefully, maybe, you know, there's a black distribution company, you know, black manufacturing company. You know, music is a huge international export. So if we could get some control of that, you know,
is there a desire for us to do that?
For me, it is. For me, it is personally. That's what I would like to push towards entrepreneurially. You know, in the future. As far as the music, I'm going to do that and push that. You know, whether it's on an independent level or whether I was to, you know, click up with some major distribution.
So since you've been,
we have the web now, so, you know, we can access our fans, you know, directly.
Right. So since we talked about, I mean, we talked about when we had our conversation about the Insane Clown Posse. I mean, this is a whole underground
Tech Nine, people like that,
artists who are making more than some of these majors who have a complete following. You know what I mean? They're making more merchandising than Kiss. You know what I mean? And the underground, you know, Insane Clown Posse has been around forever. So there is, you know, some viability for the independent artists without them really having to sign to a label.
Yeah, I think I think artists are not so pressed for that now. You know, we're still open to that. Like, okay, cool. If that comes about, and you know, they can really, if I can plug into that machine and get that major push, cool. But if not, I got this computer. You know, I do my shows. I can sell my merchandise online, and you know, people are doing it. You know, they're not so pressed to reach out, and that's not the end goal anymore so much.
All he needed was some candy.
Hey, you gotta have me here, because you know I love talking about this, because I love keeping the reality in the middle of the table. You know, because the reality of the situation and what we feel emotionally and how we feel with regards to our passion is two different things.
So what is the route for the independent artist? I mean, you know.
I mean, listen, I'm for indies. I actually like the culture of independent artists.
All right.
But again, you know, I think most independent artists move in sort of a way where they're not really educating themselves properly as they move.
But what do they need to be educating themselves on?
Because you know, with the music business, there's a lot of the devil lies in the details. Okay. There's a lot of hidden things that is happening that I won't speak on radio, even with regards to the radio. You know, even
you're not gonna talk about the Illuminati. Is Illuminati real? You ain't saying nothing about the Illuminati. You ain't trying to have no horse in your bed.
But you know, all of this stuff is strategic. And you know, if you don't know the players, that's it. Like it's just.
But how do you get to know the players? I mean, when we talked about your early career, you were just hungry. You were out there, hustling. But how do you get to know the players?
Listen, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. But at the end of the day, because everybody that's doing it think they got it, you know, and so that's how you have Jimmy's, you have the Monty Littmans, the L.A. Reeds, and Sylvia Rones with all my friends. They're able to really differentiate. Like okay and it, you know what I'm saying? And they, you know, the biggest thing for certain people that are in, you know, I always say this, you know, even in the film business, the music business, and this happens often, you know, oftentimes we have the wrong people in the right places.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, when that happens, do you just say outside and just be like, you know, I'm gonna boycott your nah. You know, R. Kelly, when he and I was talking, and I was just like, yo, man, like, I Believe I Can Fly, like, change your career. He's like, I've been had I Believe I Can Fly. He said, I wrote that when I was like 14 years old.
Wow.
And I'm like, he's like, but I couldn't get in the game that way. That's why I was doing my leather suit with the headset and doing bump and grind. I had to get in.
Okay.
And when I got in and I was accepted,
then you were able to.
Then I was able to go.
You laugh. Why?
No, what he's saying about the wrong people being in the right places. I mean, it's
and we can see that all.
It's the same thing in the film game.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I've been listening. I mean, just from the music standpoint, it parallels the film game a lot. But the major difference is, as an independent filmmaker, is you have to get the financing, and in order to recoup the type of money for the budgets you want, you have to get the people to support it. Which you need a machine to be able to get out and market it.
Right.
One of the problems, like when I put Sister Code, we put that in theaters. It was in about, I don't know, 300-400 theaters or whatever, and it did cool. It didn't do good in LA. But the thing is, a lot of our people, we rather endorse something that's coming from the studio. Because in our minds, that's better.
Because Amber Rose was in that. I mean, and Eva was in that.
Yeah, they'll support it on BET and stuff, but coming to a theater, unless Warner Brothers,
White Ice is colder. You didn't know that?
Huh?
You know White Ice is colder.
right. But I'm saying, that's the thing. Like, you gotta think about it. When they see something coming from Warner Brothers, the big market and whatever, that's a real movie to them.
To black folks.
Yeah, but some of the best movies are the indie movies. But unless it's coming through the machine,
the best artists are indie artists.
Yeah, but unless it's coming through the machine, I'm talking about us, black people.
Right.
We that's that little movie. I'm gonna go check it. I might check it out. What's this little movie before they even see it? But if it's coming out through Warner Bros., I gotta go see that, and they're controlling what they put out. You know what I'm saying? They're controlling that narrative, not us.
It's just like rich people. If you tell them you can get a Bugatti for $20, they're gonna be like, no. No, it's just. You know, you see what I'm saying? And so, like, the reality is this, man. And then I've got to, I want to come back.
You got to come back.
Yeah,
you got to come back.
I didn't even get started.
Oh, you got to come back.
My son is here, and my homeboy Sean. I've been knowing him for a long time.
Matter of fact, you told us you helped him get some of the artists for his movie.
That's my man. That's my man right there.
Secret to Ballin'.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before you go, what advice would you give? You know, independent artists or artists looking to get signed by major labels. I mean, that you represent a major. You used to do AR. You used to do AR for who?
Interscope.
For Interscope.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've been in the game for over 15 years. So what is your advice to independent artists or artists who are looking to get signed by major labels or who want to be the next Beyonce?
It's really easy, you know, and everybody.
Easy?
No, I'm like, from what I'm gonna say, it's really very simple. Like, people want microwave. They want it like yesterday. Like, if you believe in it, like, it's really simple. Keep going.
Don't
keep
give
going.
up.
Like seriously, keep going. You will be found. You know what I'm saying? It will happen. Some kind of way, you will end up in the right place at the right time.
Law of attraction.
You know what I mean? And something takes place out of nowhere, and then you'll be sitting back here having a story like wasn't even supposed to be on that plane.
Right.
This is how it, like, seriously.
That's how God works.
You know, and I can't, you know, even stop the conversation without, you know, giving acknowledgement to my Holy Father, which is Jesus Christ. You know,
you leave to go pay for the church right now.
Oh yeah, I'm going. You know, no matter where I listen, I will be out with God.
You started off in the church.
Absolutely. My dad played organ, and my whole family, man, is absolutely amazing. And you know, again, we can't fault the building. You know, the church edifice is not really, you know, listen, that's a whole nother story. But even with the music business and the film industry, you know, there's nothing wrong with the film industry, there's nothing wrong with the music business, there's nothing wrong with church. You know, if we look at the common denominator of all those different platforms, it involves people.
So before you go, what do you attribute the success of Straight Outta Compton?
Well, I think Dr. Dre in itself has been a brand that's been made through these headphones the last couple years. The Ice Cube with the film and things of that nature. And I really think, again, listen, marketing is what you say about yourself. Publicity is what others say about you. The power of our word and saying, yo, you got to go do this or check this out. It's powerful, man. And no one was like, you know, probably nobody even really remembers, you know, the NWA movement to the degree of like, I've got to go see that. You know what I mean? Right. It was not. It was just. We talked about it. We were just like, yo, it was amazing. You know, and we want to listen. I can just, by a show of hands, who heard Dr. Dre is a billionaire? Everybody heard it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he's behind a movie now, and it's telling a story about how he came up.
I'm sure a lot of people who grew up on him are surprised about a lot of their legacies.
And we want to go see it to relive the movement, to see what happened. What steps did he take to become a billionaire? What's the whole premise behind it?
Before you go, tell us again when Angie's coming out.
Angie Stone album is in store November 6th. The title of the album is Dream. The first single, Two Bad Habits, is out and available on iTunes right now. Angie is actually gonna be a part of Taste of Soul as well.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so I just booked her on that.
Shout out to Rob Ford, who just produced her Being.
Yeah, Rob is my man. And
when is Being coming out? On Being?
Oh, Being is this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Or the 17th. Is it the 16th? Or something?
This week. Yeah. Check Eccentric TV for Being on Angie Stone. Walter, thank you so much. I know you got to go. I know you got to go to the church house.
Yes.
Bye, Walter the Third. We'll be right back. We are talking about the influence of music and media on the future of Black LA right here in the Dialogue. Give us a call. We'll be right back.
Fast forward, now we arguing again and again and again over every little thing. I'm like, when will it end? Something told me get to rolling, pack your shit and hit the 10. So that's just what I did. Yep, I slid up out that bitch. But before I hit the road, at least I leave a little note. Like to hear it go. Bitch, don't choke on my smoke, cause I'm gone. Adios. Am I partially or hardly sorry? No. Bombing nose, gotta go. You ought to know I'm out the door and down the road. Players only live once, polo. And I ain't never coming back no more. I'm dolo.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to play the villain. I'ma keep this A, I keep this shit a million. Must admit we lost the love and feeling. Now you want that old thing back. Adios, bye-bye. Sayonara. Arrivederci. Don't ask why, didn't mean to hurt ya. Bye-bye.
Yo, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. You're tuned in to LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
Hi, this is Ella Joyce. You remember me from Rock and the movie Set It Off and Tyler Perry's Temptation. Would you like to learn some of the dances from the 60s and 70s to some good old soul and funk music? Come on down to Elite Dance Studio in Woodland Hills every Friday from 8 to 9. It's a 1-hour sock hop, and if you want to know more about it, go to funkicize.com.
Every Friday night, 8 p.m., join Ella Joyce as we funkicize. Funkicize.com. That's Funkasize. Funkicize.com. Every Friday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's only 1 hour, people, at the Elite Dance Studio, 6431 Independence Ave, Woodland Hills, California, 91367. Only $10 a class. We're doing this sock hop style.
Credit Clean for You. We assist you in repairing your credit record and raising your FICO score. Credit Clean for You. We work in the community to help individuals who have bad credit and low FICO scores. We also help people who've been the victims of identity theft. Credit Clean for You will help you remove negative information from your credit report and will help you reestablish your credit worthiness. Plans start as low as $175 to begin. We also have plans for people on a tight budget with a pay-as-you-go plan. For more information, call 323-300-8085. That's 323-300-8085 or email credit.clean4u@yahoo.com. Once again, that's credit.clean4u@yahoo.com. Clean Credit for You, official sponsors of the Talk Live Broadcast Network and LA Talk Live.
Interested in advertising your business, product, or service here on The Dialogue? Call 323-547-7748. The Dialogue will help you promote your business, increase your traffic, and bring in new clients through innovative and creative marketing packages, including affordable radio ad campaigns for small businesses. Find out more. Call 323-547-7748. That's 323-547-7748. Or go to www.thedialoguela.com. And now, back to The Dialogue. The Dialogue with Starlett Quarles. Real talk, real people.
Hate to say it to ya, hate to break it to ya, but we ain't gon' make it cause this just ain't no true love. Yeah, we started out as friends, parked out in my Benz, and on my windows tint, so we start to get it in. Fast forward, now we arguing again and again and again over every little thing. I'm like, when will it end? Something told me get to rolling, pack your shit and hit the 10.
We're moving to Brandi. That's Miss Brandi Kane. Welcome back to the dialogue. I like that, B.
Thank you.
How can people find? What's your SoundCloud?
Brandi Kane. Everything is Brandi Kane. BRANDIKANE. That song is available on SoundCloud. That's featuring Money. That's called the breakup song featuring Money.
The breakup song, ladies. Get the breakup song. Get the breakup song. There's a whole bunch of single black women out there. We need this song. Miss Brandi Kane in the house. Walter had to go to the church house because he plays piano for his church, where he actually got started. So joining his music producer extraordinaire, Mr. Karl Dawson. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How about yourself?
And I dropped the ball. I was supposed to have some of his beats ready for you guys to hear, but I promise you I'm going to play some of his music. Some of his beats are slamming. So welcome to the conversation, Mr. Dawson.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. What's the name of your production company?
Unlimited Potential Music Group.
Unlimited potential. That's what we're talking about here. Having unlimited potential. So welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
Shonathan, you wanted to say about the concept of independence during the commercial break.
Yeah. I wanted to follow up. Over the last 3 years, I've been working on The Secret to Ballin', and Dame Dash was the executive producer. And Dame, I'm sure a lot of people know Dame's mantra, his entire philosophy is independence. And, that being he wanted to remain independent while Jay went corporate. And that's just been the song that he sang. Mm-hmm. And independence, one thing that I have learned from Dame is that you don't have to, your world doesn't have to come to an end when corporate doesn't accept you. That there is a pathway, and there is a profitable pathway to get your product out there, direct to consumer, cut out the middleman, and build your fan base and have them support you, so you can make more art.
Okay, isn't that how Soulja Boy got discovered? Like, wasn't he like a YouTube sensation or something like that?
Yeah, I was teaching film about however many years ago when I broke, and the kids was coming in like, yo, Superman, and I was like, who is this kid?
Right.
All the kids knew him before I even knew
and
who he was.
And they knew what the song meant too.
And they knew. Yeah.
We didn't know what the song meant. Mr. Karl, you've been sitting back listening to our conversation on the impact of music and media on the future of Black LA. And as an independent music producer, what are your thoughts on the topic?
Well, for the most part, being independent gives you more control over creativity. If you don't think about monetary so much trying to come into this game, you can learn a lot more.
So it's just about the art.
Yeah. A lot of people, when I was growing up, a lot of people wanted to move the streets because of the type of monetary they could bring in.
Okay.
But when you have talent, you don't hear art painters or actors talking about how much money they gonna make. They love the art. They pay attention to the art.
Okay.
So I think a lot more people need to pay more attention to the art if they want to change stuff. As they say, you can't change everything if you're being a follower.
Okay.
And in order to be a leader, you got to know how to be quiet and listen and move different. You know what I mean? Because a lot of cats is moving the same, but they want to come in and change the game.
And so how has that been for you, trying to get, major artists to hear some of your beats or to rap on some of your beats? What has that role been like for you?
It's
you
been
need to give Miss Brandi Kane some of your beats. Girl, you gotta hear some of his beats.
I'm willing to work with anybody, but I'm kind of selfish.
Okay.
I don't like to put my music on the net because people tend to dumb you down by downloading your music and putting it on a mixtape and just say a signed artist might have wanted that. Because somebody else done it already, it kind of spoils the issue. So I would like to actually meet the person, that wants to use some of my stuff, and then kind of scout to see, what type of material. I don't like negative lyrics.
Okay.
I don't like the, the strip club, the lyrics.
Well, we can't twerk to your music.
Nah, you can,
I can't
but
twerk anyway, so don't even worry about it.
I'm just careful about who I do my stuff with, because
very nice.
You got to watch how you being perceived.
Okay, all right, Mr. Karl, I need to get your voice in on this conversation. I kind of want to transition a little bit to film and media. So, what is the climate like for the black filmmaker today? That bad, huh?
Well, I mean, you have two sides. You have your indie side, and you have your studio side.
Okay, and you've done both.
I have not gotten to the studio side
Okay,
yet.
so
I've had meetings with studios. I haven't broken a studio.
What did you say
movie
when
yet.
your movies were done on? You mean in terms of them getting behind one of your films?
In terms of them giving me $12-15 million,
Okay.
and all I gotta do is show up on set.
If that happened, I'm
and
sure
I got
you
30
would
days
not
to
be
shoot.
here.
I got 40-50 days to shoot. That's
Okay.
studio.
All right.
You know, but I mean, there's definitely a major difference. I mean,
Okay.
with studio, they have their certain handful of same directors they go to, which most of them I love, and I think they're great filmmakers. But again, the studios control what they want to put out.
So are the studios even interested in black stories being told by black filmmakers?
Not so much. It depends on who they got attached to it and how many slots they want to give up that year.
Okay.
Think about how many movies come out mainstream on a studio level that are white movies or big movies, and then how many come out that are black.
Mhm.
You know, so that when they see something like Straight Outta Compton, which a couple studios passed on it, and then a couple of them didn't want to put $30 million to do it, and they finally got it made, and look how big it is. They're surprised.
And you said F. Gary Gray actually walked away from a Marvel movie.
Yeah, F. Gary Gray
that.
was in the running when the final, selection process of directors to direct Captain America 2, I believe it was. And, I think he just withdrew himself from the running and went on to do Straight Outta Compton, which obviously was the right decision.
Now that movie is approaching $200 million.
It's approaching $200 million. I think the foreign release was sporadic, but I think now it's in full foreign release, and the DVD sales are gonna be bananas.
So from my perspective, I would think that that's Oscar worthy. Do you think it's going to get nominated? You laughing? It ain't no Selma. It ain't no slave movie.
Like I think we were talking earlier, and I think the Oscars has a one Negro at a time rule, where it's either gonna be this or it's gonna be that. Like the
you
Butler,
say Creed is coming out,
and the film Creed is coming out, and I think the director Ryan, he got passed on for Fruitvale Station, and Creed looks phenomenal. So if Creed is halfway as good as what it looks like, then I'm just of the personal opinion that Creed is going to be the one that gets the
and
Oscar
that's primarily because of Sylvester Stallone.
I'm going to disagree.
I think it should get nominated.
I'm going to disagree.
That's okay.
And
We want you to hear the dialogue.
And the reason I'm going to disagree is because Hollywood always wants to have that one hip thing that they're on, and I think because of the buzz and how big Straight Outta Compton is, it's gonna get what I call a trinket nod, where they're gonna
that's some white guilt. That's some white guilt.
They're gonna give us
some white guilt.
I think it has a great chance of getting nominated.
So do
nominated for Best Picture, or
I think it get nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
And I think they may get an actor nod for Jason Mitchell, maybe.
Do you think there's room enough for two though?
Nah.
So
it's one at a time.
It's the one at a time.
So really
it is the
one
one
at
at
a
a
time.
time.
Okay.
But the reason why I say Creed is, and we don't know what the numbers is gonna do, but I mean, it has Sylvester Stallone, it has the Rocky legacy. It's like this continuation, and it's Michael B. Jordan. So I'm just waiting to see what that film does, because that.
So as filmmakers, are you guys striving for the Oscars? I mean, would it be more important for you to win an Image Awards from BET from your own people, or do you want the Oscar?
I'm gonna tell you like this: there's nothing better feeling than being in the theater or going to different season, seeing your movie in the theater with a bunch of people loving your movie.
Okay,
that's
regardless of whether it gets awarded or not.
I don't need no. Now, if I get one and gives me bigger paydays, then great. I'm not chasing none of that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I've been blessed with the amount of movies I've been able to make thus far. And I think when I was first starting out, you always think that way. But I think once you're in the game and you start seeing some fruits of your labor and see what's really important and the impact you have with people, I think that's what makes you feel good about it.
You want the award or you want the recognition?
It's interesting. A friend of mine is working on a Capital One commercial that Spike Lee is directing. And one of the things he told me, he's like, the Oscars are going to give Spike his Lifetime Achievement Award.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, my gut reaction was like, that's so disrespectful, because there's so many films that Spike did that deserved to be recognized on that level.
Right.
And now it's just kind of just like, oh, well, we were racist, but we're sorry now. Here's the award. And it's kind of like, so I mean, when it comes to the Oscars, there's so much politics involved, and there's so it's 99% white folks, and I mean. Yeah, if they recognize it, cool. But as long as my folks is feeling me, then
And is that true for artists? I mean, do you guys want the awards, or are you just waiting to hear your song on the radio or at the club, or what motivates you to?
Well, all those things are great.
Okay.
But I'm more like Shonathan said. I'm more motivated by moving people that are, you know, part of my community, you know, the grassroots, you know, that personal contact that I can have with the fans, you know. With, you know, to go global and mainstream, that would be great as well.
So how was that?
You know, I'm not gonna cry if I never, like I said when we were talking, like somebody like Snoop Dogg, he's never gotten a Grammy.
Right.
But that's not gonna, nobody's gonna be like, oh, his career kind of sucked because he never got a Grammy.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, he's a legendary figure in music, period. And that's just how it's going to be.
So how was it for you when you were performing in front of thousands of artists? I mean, starting off, you know, just rapping at Westchester, and next thing you know, you're opening up for major artists in front of thousands of people. What does that feel like?
Well, we got a saying, we do it from 5 to 5,000. So, you know, I've been in front of 5 people.
That's probably family, huh?
You know, I honestly, sometimes the smaller, I mean, I was nervous as hell before I got here. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes the smaller venues make me more nervous than an arena, you know. So, you know,
but artists often say
the big shows. Like the big shows are great, though. The big shows are great because you look out and you know, you see people till you can't see people no more. You know, so I've done huge music festivals such as those, and those are great because you really feel like, you know, okay, this is one of those moments, you know, that we do them 5 people shows for, you know, to get to this point.
And what about you, Karl? Are you looking to get, you know, an award for your music or your beats, or how are you looking to have your career evolve in the music industry?
I'm looking for my career to be historical.
Okay.
I'm not really looking forward to any awards that they don't feel I deserve because that's their opinion.
Okay.
But my opinion is looking forward to you know, people appreciating what I do and what I contribute to this music thing, and to make artists happy, to make, you know, whatever following that they have happy, and to just basically enjoy the fruits of my labor. You know, that's pretty much.
So one of the things I want to talk about is just reality TV and what's happening in terms of the images of just black women, black men. You know, you got these fathers that are being portrayed as womanizers and baby daddies, and, you know, things. But, you know, I want to start off this conversation talking about Empire. And the success of Empire. And, you know, Shonathan, you and I had talked earlier about, do you guys feel, or do you think that there is an agenda to desensitize black people to gay relationships? Because we now see it with a new gay character in Love and Hip Hop, and I think Nene's being replaced by a transgender you know, character, and even in Empire and the success of Empire. So do you think that there is this desensitization? Because as black people, you know, we always kind of had this issue, you know what I mean, with homosexual relationships and the church and all this type of stuff. But do you think that there's a concerted effort in the media and TV to desensitize the black community to gay relationships? Why are you laughing? That's a legitimate question. Because I often ask brothers.
Because we both are in Hollywood.
Because I often ask and you know, Hollywood is run by, we all know it's run by, but I often ask heterosexual black men who watch and enjoy Empire, you know what I mean, what happens when the gay scenes come on? Do you turn your head? Are you getting used to it? What happens?
Can I address it? Look, on the onset of the show, Lee Daniels openly said that it is, you know, it was his agenda to help normalize homosexual relationships in the black community because the black community is very homophobic.
Okay.
So, so is there an agenda? It's a stated agenda, and I think that the gay community, LGBT community, has deliberately put themselves out there because they were one of the most discriminated against groups in America. And so I feel like, yes, they are trying to normalize themselves through the vehicle of media, so that, you know, they aren't ostracized and attacked.
Because one of the biggest controversy of Love and Hip Hop before it airs was that none of the black, you know, Ray J and Lil Fizz didn't want to do scenes, you know, with the gay character. They just didn't want to be associated.
Again, that's that homophobia that Lee Daniels was addressing. It's like the black community is very homophobic.
Okay. All right.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just part of the problem. We have other cultures that have the same agenda because of the skin color. I mean, the sexual preference to skin colors, how much money someone else has more than the other, all of those are just, you know, sidetracks. Basically, if you know what you're getting yourself into, you have your own decision if you're going to participate or if you're not.
But when I was talking to some of my, parents earlier, who when we talked about, screening TV and and a lot of black people are, like you said, homophobic and raised in the black church, then kids are exposed to anything, everything. So when they watch Empire, are they becoming more open to those type of relationships?
Can I get on that? Like,
yeah, of course.
This is what I'll say. I mean, I think your sexual preference, that's your business.
Of course.
I think you to each his own. Whatever you want to do, I have no issues with whomever. What you do in your bedroom, that's your business. Who you date, who you hold hands with, that's not a problem. I think that the problem lies when it's so pushed out there deliberately to get a reaction, to get you to notice. I mean, if heterosexual people aren't doing that, then I feel it's the same thing as lesbian and gay. Just let the story be what it is. If they're gay, they're gay. But when you have things that are strategically put there for that particular reason and pushed out there to make it seem like it's normal, not saying that it's not okay, but to make it seem like just to normalize it, I think that's an issue, especially when you have kids watch. I think everybody should be able to make a choice in their own. It shouldn't be deliberately put out there like that.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Homosexuality has been a part of the human experience since the onset of the human experience, and various cultures has shut it out, shut it down. Religion come along. It is what it is, and the gay community or the LGBT community putting themselves out there or pressing their agenda is no different than Coca-Cola pressing its agenda, or everybody, like what Walter was saying, wants
we
that
need to have a black agenda.
Wants that real estate, and so there's a big black gay community. I mean, if you just got to go to Atlanta. I mean, it extends outside of Atlanta.
But don't you think that if we did make it more
Atlanta, but
socially,
I'm just saying.
But don't you think if we did make it a little bit more socially acceptable, then sisters won't be having to deal with brothers on the down low?
Well,
they can come out. They can be free.
I mean, look, the whole objective.
We ain't got to be second guessing.
The whole objective is for people to be who they are and not be stigmatized for being who they are.
Okay.
And if media is a means of allowing people to be themselves, then then so be it. I'm not one of those people. I recognize that the Pan-Africanist strain of the black community has an ideal of what they see the black family as, just like the church has.
Right.
The black community is incredibly diverse, and there is no utopian black community. It is a diverse community that should be welcoming of the diversity.
Ms. Brandi, what do you think about Empire? Do you watch Empire?
I don't watch it, so
you don't watch Empire?
I'm not too familiar with the content of the show, other than the premise of it. I've seen an episode or two, but I just to speak to that a little bit, the topic at hand that we're talking about right now, I think that I think we throw terms around kind of loosely, like trying to normalize or using the term like homophobia. I think that a lot of times that maybe somebody they may be anti or not in support of something, but that doesn't mean that they are phobic of it. And I think that, and we all know that black folks for the most part are largely Christian, and that is just against the teachings of the religion that we practice, largely, and that's just people following their spiritual convictions. If they're not in support of something, I don't necessarily think that they may be phobic, so I think we have to be careful about the terms that we throw around. Also, I don't think that there's necessarily an agenda, this devious agenda to force it down people's throat. I think that there's more awareness being brought to gay bashing and some of the discrimination that gay people face and have been facing with no sort of recourse.
You sucked up the air. You sucked up the air in the room. Why?
Well, I agree 99% of what she's saying.
Okay.
My thing is, when I see two men engaged, lip locking and kissing in a narrative, that throws me off. I'm not used to seeing that.
Okay.
So if you're looking at us like being homophobic, I don't think so, because I have no problem. I have a gay friend, but just seeing that, and then if I saw a man and a woman in the public place, just start. I mean, I may look like but it'll catch me off guard. So when you see that somebody just
it's shocking.
And I think that's deliberate.
Okay.
And I think that's where a lot of people kind of push back just a little bit.
You mean like something like a billboard?
No, I'm talking about on I can do it.
Oh, you mean
I'm
television?
talking about on a TV show.
Like the most episode of Love and
Well,
Hip
like Shonathan said, I mean that was Lee Daniels.
I didn't see that episode.
That was his stated intention. He said that he wanted to kick down the door on homophobia in the black community.
Okay.
Now, he's a black gay man. This is his show. He has control of the production of it. That's, I guess, in a sense, that's his prerogative, you know. And I think
I was
and
talking about
big,
Key and Peele. How many of you guys watch Key and Peele?
I watch Key and Peele.
Every episode has some type of gay joke. But do you know what I mean? Dave Chappelle, you know what I mean? And I love Dave Chappelle. I miss Dave Chappelle. But you know what I mean? Dave Chappelle was very clear that he wasn't going to wear the dress.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? He wasn't going to do no gay scenes. And that might have cost him his career. But every single episode, there is something gay going on in a Key and Peele episode.
But Key and Peele are incredibly popular. Just like Empire. Empire, if the black community was so up in arms, like what the belief is about, you know, being anti-gay, then Empire would not be breaking. Empire is the only television show in history, I believe, that to ever gain viewership after its third week. Typically, viewership drops off. Empire has done something phenomenal in that it has increased its viewership.
What do you attribute that to?
It's the controversy, like you said earlier, the controversy that sells. So I think the same people that are kind of complaining about Love and Hip Hop because it's a little bit more realistic, and these dudes are really maybe a real couple. They're the same people that's sitting down watching Empire with the popcorn.
Well, you know what? I think Empire. I think it's a well-written show. I enjoy the show. I think it's tight, and I have no problem with that. I mean, it's but you know,
and I like Taraji, and I like the
Jesse dude. He's tight. Everybody on there is.
And everybody, everybody knows. What's the dude's? What's his
Terrence
name?
Howard.
What's the guy's the character's name? The gay character?
Jesse.
Everybody knows a Jesse. So
and
it's
Jesse,
like, you know, it's
and
relatable.
Jesse is outwardly gay. He is a gay person.
He's gay for
But
real.
isn't that true with reality TV in general? Don't we all kind of relate in some, exist in some way to either the storyline or either to a particular scenario or a particular character? We all kind of relate
We all
to.
can relate to some relationship drama or something like that.
It's 2015. I mean, back when I was in high school, you suspected somebody maybe gay, whatever. It was never talked about. But now everybody just be who they are, and there's no big deal.
Okay, so in terms of, you want to say something?
Yeah,
on the internet.
I was just going to say, when it comes to showing that on television and things of that nature, it's just shock value, just like how NWA came out.
Okay.
Everybody was afraid of it, and then after a certain amount of years went by, then it became the norm.
Everybody's gangster.
Okay. You know, and it goes way back to our ancestors. You could always pick and choose your fight.
Right.
You know, what you're going to entertain and what you're not going to allow. And I mean, once our generation passes on and goes to the next level, the generation after us
is
it's going to be accepted. Yeah, it's going to be accepted.
The kids is crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's just going to keep evolving, going towards negative or positive directions. It's always going to be a war between negative and positive.
So let me ask you real quick before you go, in terms of black self-identity in reality TV shows, you like the bigger butt? You like the bigger black butt?
I like a
the booty. You like the booty injection?
I like a round butt. It don't gotta be necessarily big. It has to be round.
So our men, are you guys fascinated with these bigger butts? I mean, Kim Kardashian
I like authenticity. I don't like the plastic. I don't like the fake construct.
How you know? Sometimes it's just an injection. You don't even know if it's plastic. It's not an implant.
When you get there, you'll understand.
I ain't gonna never get there.
When you get there, you'll know what. I mean, I'm just talking about as a connoisseur. When you get there,
the booty.
When you get there, you'll understand like, if there's been some tampering.
If your thighs are as big as toothpicks.
But
and your butt
women,
is like
we've been voluptuous. I mean, from Sarah Bartman, we've been voluptuous for generations. Why are we getting bigger butts? And why are we wearing longer weaves that are colored?
That's the Atlanta stripper mentality. Because
y'all women in the black community now are the breadwinners, and they are in a lot of ways.
Bigger butts?
No, what I'm saying
Kim Kardashian done us wrong.
What I'm saying is now you have money, disposable income, and you are choosing to do with your money what you choose to do with it.
And the most important thing, like, this is a attention whoring society now. Everybody wants attention. All you gotta do is look at Instagram. Look at me.
Lord Jesus.
I'm gonna say this. I think our women have concentrated on other cultures than their own. And they're competing with other cultures because it was one time where we were, the dominant culture where everybody wanted to eat off of us as far as our art.
Eating off of it.
Well, I mean, now everybody's starting to do their homework and they starting to really try to, be at our level.
Right.
But when it comes to appearances, we always tend to not like who who we are in the mirror
because
and look at the next.
Going on.
Yeah, and it goes all the way back to, you know, where we came from. You know, in order to be accepted, you had to have, you pretty much look like them.
Right. We're going to talk about white people and white privilege next week and see how they've been biting off us all this time. All right. So, Corey, how can people find you, sir?
Corey Grant on Facebook. Corey Grant underscore. What was that? Twitter.com. Corey underscore CREY.
Okay.
Underscore Grant.
And what's the movie you want people to go support?
Check out Dysfunctional Friends on Netflix. Check out Sister Code. It'll be on Netflix next week. It's on VOD now, and a new movie coming out called Marriage for Dummies.
Shonathan, how can people find you?
Shonathan Lindsey on Facebook. SHONATHENLINDSEY.
And Secret to Ballin's coming out when?
Secret to Ballin will be on video on demand on October 16th. And you can go if you want to support independent film.
Coke
Girl, which is GoFundMe.com/Coke Girl the movie.
And Freestyle Fellowship Experience Friday, October 2nd, 2015. River, if you put that flyer for me at the airliner, Miss Brandi, that's where people can find you. How can they get in contact with you?
Brandi Kane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is Brangela Davis. And just Google Brandi Kane, all my SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, all my stuff will pop up, YouTube.
And again, she's going to be at Freestyle Fellowship Experience October 2nd, 2015.
Yeah, Flow and Tell. I'll be at Flow and Tell October the 2nd.
Okay, fantastic.
At the airliner.
Karl, how can people find you?
You can go to SoundCloud /Unlimited Potential Music Group, Instagram Unlimited Potential Music Group. If you're an artist that's looking for music, I need to know what you're talking about first. I need to hear your cadence. I need to know everything about you before we can even get down like that. All right.
Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me
today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Richard, thank you so much for the extra minute. I know I went over. Make sure you tune in next week as we talk about white privilege and its impact on the future of the Black America. And we're going to have some white folks here. So we're going to hear straight from the horse's mouth. Right here with me, Starlett Quarles on The Dialogue, signing off as my mama's child and my daddy's baby girl. Until next week, God bless you.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.